Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today is going to be the greatest day of your life. You know, I woke up this morning and my wife came in and said, "Doug, you're not going to believe it." And I looked at her and she looked a little upset, and quite a bit upset actually. And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Toby Keith died last night." And it just blew my mind. You know, I know that in June of 2022 he had been diagnosed with stomach cancer, but I thought he was doing so well. I thought that he would beat it, actually. And his family did release a statement on his website and on social media early this morning where they stated that Toby Keith passed away peacefully last night on February 5th, surrounded by his family. He fought his fight with grace and courage, it continued, and they said, "Please respect the privacy of his family at this time." And we can completely all understand that. Toby Keith was an amazing man, and his life represented a lot of the lessons we discuss on this channel about success. He not only believed it, he lived it. I'd like to share some facts and information about Toby Keith that you may or may not know, but it's very interesting, and he was a beautiful man. He was also a good friend, and he's going to be missed dearly. You may not know that he worked as a roughneck in the oil fields of Oklahoma as a young man, then played semi-pro football before launching his career as a singer. Now, Toby said one time, "I write about life and I sing about life, and I don't overanalyze things." And that's a beautiful way to live. You know, he also learned some good lessons in the booming oil fields, which toughened him up, but also showed him the value of money. He said the money to be made was unbelievable. He said, "I came out of high school in 1980 and they gave me this job December of 1979. $50,000 a year, and he was only 18 years old. You know, but the domestic oil field industry collapsed and Toby had not saved. So he said, it about broke us. He said, "I just learned, and I've taken care of money since then." So I mentioned he played football. He did. He spent a couple of seasons as a defensive end for the Oklahoma City Drillers, which was a farm team for the United States Football League, which now no longer exists. But he found more consistent money playing music with his band throughout the Red Dirt Roadhouse circuit in Oklahoma and in Texas. You know, and he said all through this whole thing, the only constant we had was music. But it's hard to sit back and say, I'm going to go make my fortune singing music or writing music, because at the time he had no contacts. Eventually his path took him to Nashville, where he attracted the interest of Mercury Records head Harold Shedd, who was best known as a producer for the hit group Alabama. And Shedd brought him to Mercury, where he released his platinum debut record, Toby Keith, in 1993. "Should Have Been a Cowboy" was his breakout hit on that record, and it was played 3 million times on radio stations, making it the most played country song of the 1990s. But the label's focus on global star Shania Twain overshadowed the rest of the roster, and Keith felt that executives were trying to push him in the pop direction. I don't know about you, but I can't really see Toby Keith being a pop star, but I can see him being a star. And I think even if he would have went down that road, he still would have been a tremendous success. You see, he said, "They were trying to get me to compromise, and I was living a miserable existence." Toby said, "Everybody was trying to mold me into something I was not." How many of us can relate to that? You know, here's what he did, though. After a series of albums that produced hits like Who's That Man? And he also did a cover of Sting's song, I'm So Happy I Can't Stop Crying, he moved to DreamWorks Records in 1999. And that's when his multi-week How Do You Like Me Now took off and became his first song to cross over to top 40 charts. In 2001, he won Male Vocalist of the Year and Album of the Year at the Academy of Country Music Awards, exclaiming from the stage, "I've waited for this for a long time, 9 years." And songs like "I Want to Talk About Me," which was a spoken word song written by Bobby Braddock about a man frustrated by a talkative partner, got him attention for its similarity to the cadence of rap. I don't know if you remember this, but they said it was a rap song, and Toby said, "They're going to call it a rap song, but there ain't nobody doing rap who would call it rap." I love that. And Keith often wore his politics on his sleeve. We know he was a beautiful man and very patriotic, especially after the terrorist attacks of 9/11. And early on, he said he was a conservative Democrat, but later claimed he was an independent. Even so, he played at events for President George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. And Donald Trump actually gave him the National Medal of Arts in 2021. And his songs and his blunt opinions sometimes caused him controversy, but he seemed to like that a little bit. I guess any publicity is good publicity, right? And his 2002 song, Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, which was also known in the media as The Angry American, included a threat. I don't know if you remember this part of the song, but he said, "We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way," to anyone who dared to mess with America. And that song, I don't know if you know, actually was supposed to be part of an ABC 4th of July special, but producers deemed it too angry for the show. And singer-songwriter Steve Earle called Keith's song pandering to people's worst instincts at a time they are hurt and scared. I just loved the song because it was patriotic and we were unified at the time against a threat. And I think Toby Keith actually pulled America together. It was a beautiful thing. And there was also the feud that he had with the Chicks. They used to be called the Dixie Chicks. I don't know if you remember that. But they also became a target for Keith's ire when singer and writer Natalie Maines told the crowd that they were ashamed of then-President George W. Bush. And Maines had also previously called Keith's songs ignorant. Now, Keith, who had previously claimed that he supported any artist's freedom to voice their opinion about politics, used a doctored photo of Maines with an image of Saddam Hussein at his concerts, further ramping up angry fans. I don't know if you remember that, but he would have that picture in the background at his live concerts. Maines responded by wearing a shirt with the letters FUTK on stage at the 2023 ACM Awards, which many people believed was a vulgar message to Toby Keith. And it's really a shame that she had to take it there. He also publicly called out Ethan Hawke, who had written a story in Rolling Stone that described an argument between Chris Christopherson and an unnamed country star that sounded a lot like Toby Keith. And during a backstage press conference during an award show, Keith was furious at Hawks and reporters for repeating that story for what he called a fictitious expletive lie. Okay? Keith, who had acknowledged that he doesn't hold on to grudges, walked out of the ACM Awards in 2003 early because he had gotten snubbed in earlier categories, which caused him to miss out when he was announced as Entertainer of the Year. But Vince Gill accepted on his behalf. And he came back next year and won the top prize for a second year in a row, along with Top Male Vocalist and Album of the Year for Shock and Y'all. That's a great album. His pro-military stance wasn't just fodder for songs, however. He went on 11 USO tours, I don't know if you knew that, but to visit the troops and play for them overseas. He also helped to raise millions for charity over his career, including building a home in Oklahoma City for kids and their families who are battling cancer. And after Universal Music Group acquired DreamWorks, Keith started anew again, starting his own record label called Show Dog in 2005 with record executive Scott Borchetta. who launched his own label, Big Machine, at the same time. Now, probably 75% of the people in this town think all fail, and the other 25% hope all fail, he said that year. But later, the label became Showdog Universal Music and had Keith, Trace Atkins, Joe Nichols, Josh Thompson, Clay Walker, and Phil Vassar on its roster. And his later hits included Love Me If You Can, She Never Cried in Front of Me, and Red Solo Cup. And he was introduced into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2015. He was also honored by the Performance Rights Organization, BMI, in November of 2022 with the BMI Icon Award. A few months after announcing his stomach cancer diagnosis, he stated, "I always felt that the songwriting was the most important part of this whole industry." And you know what? I think he gave so much to an industry that loved him and cared for him and is going to miss him more than most. Toby Keith, I salute you, sir. And I want to express my condolences to your family. And listen, I believe in you. I hope you have a beautiful day. I just wanted to share with you a little bit more about a friend we've lost today. And we'll carry on and carry forward, because that's exactly what he would have done and what he would want us to do. Have a beautiful day, friends. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll resume on some of the things we normally talk about. But thanks for sharing this with me today. It's important to me, and I hope it's important to you. Have a beautiful day, friends. Take care.